Hello and welcome to this technology orientation video. We'll be showcasing Zoom, Ideaflip, and talking a little bit about the different types of functionality that you need to be aware of. In order to access your Zoom meeting, please make sure you have launched Zoom from your browser window. You can go to www.zoom.us. You may be prompted to download a launcher. Please accept any prompts. And if you are connecting via a mobile device, please download the Zoom application via your app stores. Please do this a couple of days before you join your virtual session. It will minimize any potential stress in having to still do these additional steps before joining your meeting. To join your meeting, you'll be distributed or you'll receive a link, and that link may or may not have a password embedded in it. The Zoom connection link email will contain a password if you need to enter it in, and you follow the instructions as per the invitation that is sent to you. You'll be clicking on a link and entering a password. When you join a Zoom meeting, you will first be placed in an admission room. And I'm going to share my screen with you now so you can see what that looks like. At the moment, you can see there is just myself in this meeting room. And if I click on participants, I can see that I have my second device, which I'm connecting with for the use of this demonstration. And I am going to admit my second device into the meeting room. And we now have 2 people in this virtual session. You may be wondering where this additional person is. At the moment, we are on speaker view, which means that you will only see the person who is speaking. If my other device started to speak to you now, it would switch to their view. If you'd like to see everybody in the meeting space, which I highly recommend because it gives an opportunity to really connect visually with people, you would click on the gallery view at the top right-hand side of your screen. You can see we are now in gallery view. And if you wish to return to speaker view, you would click on speaker view again. Additional buttons and areas that are important for you to know about is the mute button, the stop video button, the chat button, and the reactions button. The mute and stop video buttons are activated by clicking on them. The chat button is also activated by clicking, and your chat space is for you to be able to type. Now, you might have a lot of content coming to you and you might be popping with some fantastic ideas. Don't wait for an opportunity to ask your questions or to share your ideas. Use the chat functionality to type your ideas. A host who is keeping an eye on the chat functionality will be able to bring in your ideas, answer questions, collate or group questions together to answer them. So don't be shy with the chat functionality. With the reactions, you can give a thumbs up or you can clap. If you're unable to see this reactions button, you may be running an older version of Zoom. If you go to participants and you click on more, you will be able to see those there. Now, at times we push different screens to you. You can see behind this Zoom window, if I move my Zoom window around, there is a Chrome browser set up ready to show you something else. If I, by mistake, have pressed the enter full screen view, I lose my Zoom or my browser visibility, and it might be quite disconcerting in the middle of the session to have to hit the pause button and try and find that browser. So I recommend that you access Zoom and you do not have full screen activated, but that was a way that you can get out of it is to toggle between the full screen and the smaller screen setting, which is also important if you lose systems in the back end. Good. Now, the additional important element to know about is that when we put hyperlinks into the chat, or links into the chat rather, they are not hyperlinked, which means you would need to copy the link out of the chat window and paste it into a Chrome browser or Safari browser or Firefox, whichever browser you're working with, and then you'd be able to access whatever we're sharing with you. I've popped a browser I've popped a link into the chat window, ideaflip.com. Please go and sign up for a free profile on that. It's the equivalent of a virtual flip chart. If you were in a meeting room, you'd have a flip chart behind you. You would have a range of post-its. You would have your marker pens, and it would be a way in which your participants in the room could engage and could create some important information based on their discussions. In the virtual space, we have to artificially create these for you, and Ideaflip is the tool that we work with. So please go and sign up for a free session. I'd like to demonstrate this now for you, the Ideaflip and how it operates, by sharing with you a screen that we have already created. Typically, you would join Ideaflip and it would be a blank canvas. This is called a canvas that you're looking at now. And on that canvas, you have a number of items in a stationery pad on the right-hand side. It says stationery, stuff to add. There's post-its, there's arrows, there's groupings, there's dots, there's buttons, there's badges. You can insert images. There's a lot you can do with Ideaflip, which is why we like it. It's also very, very easy to work with. On the bottom left-hand side is what is called a canvas viewer. And if you move this gray, darker gray area around on the canvas, you can access different parts of the canvas. This means that you can have a lot of people working on the canvas at the same time. You can zoom out and you can zoom in and you can move around on that canvas. To zoom, you would use your fingers. If you're on a trackpad, your typical zoom in and out. If you're on a smart mouse, you do the same motion. And if you have a roller ball or a wheel that you can rotate on a Windows mouse, that would also help you be able to navigate. So in this instance, this canvas is not blank. We have created some information on here for you. And we would like to showcase that if you need, for example, a blue post-it, it's as simple as going and grabbing the post-its you want, or the different images you want. And if you would like to add content into those, you would double click on them and you would type. And you would click OK. If you would like to change the color of this one to also be blue, you can type on this and add your content and change your color down below. Say, for example, you would like to make one bigger, you would click Command or Control and hold down your mouse and then drag it to make it bigger. If you want to delete, you can double click and hit the delete button. If you want to copy, double click and copy. You can also group things together. By grouping things together, you click a little bit higher up from the grouping area, select the square, which is a group, and there you have all of these post-its grouped. If you want to move it, make sure your arrow is on the frame. You can move it about, and you can add in your little stickers that you would like to add in. You can also create some additional linkages if it makes sense to do so. And you can also delete the entire group by putting it across and holding it over the bin. So there's a secondary copy icon on the top right-hand side. And for that, you would just click and drag, and to throw away, move it to the bin. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with this. So that is Ideaflip. Please make sure you have access to that. And then lastly, I'd like to show you how to work with the annotation tool on Zoom. On Annotate, when somebody is sharing a screen with you, at the top you'll see you are viewing a shared screen. You won't see this exact information that I see. I have a slightly different view as a facilitator. You would click on the View button, and under the View button, you will have an Annotate button. When you click on the Annotate button, a range of items comes up. You can stamp. For example, you can say, well, I really like that particular piece of information. You can type in a text box. You can decide where to move that text box, and It's very useful to do this when working with a PowerPoint slide, and we may ask you to do this at some point in time in a virtual session with us. So I just wanted to show that to you so that you can see the different functionality. So that's it from me. I hope today has been useful, and I wish you well and look forward to hosting you soon. Goodbye.